Welcome to the America 250 PA Start Here, America Did podcast, telling the unique stories that make up the diverse fabric of Pennsylvania.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Sydney Harris, and I'm your host for today's episode. Folklore, folk tales, and folk music. These traditions are often passed down through communities, shared by word of mouth across generations. Take, for example, the stories we explored in our episode on Pennsylvania cryptids. Tales of beasts and monsters born from the wilderness in small towns across the Commonwealth, like the Albatwitch of Columbia or the Gewoggle of Clinton County. These aren't just fun cultural quips. They carry echoes of the past and offer insight into the lives, values, and fears of those who came before us. Folk art is no different. Folk art is a reflection of a people, a culture, and a way of life. It's creatively rooted in community, passed down, handcrafted, and deeply personal. Now, you might be wondering why we're diving into folk traditions, especially folk art. The truth is, I'm no expert, but Melissa J. White is. She's the director of the Wild Wind Folk Art and Craft Festival in Warren County, Pennsylvania. Today, Melissa joins us to share the story of this beloved festival, one that began around a dinner table and grew into one of Pennsylvania's most celebrated arts event. For 45 years, the Wild Wind Folk Art and Craft Festival has brought together generations of families, artists, and visitors in celebration of handmade craftsmanship and community spirit. Let's get started. Melissa, thank you so much for being here with us today. We're really excited to have you.
Oh, well, Sydney, thank you so much for having me.
And before we dive into the festival's story, could you introduce yourself to our listeners and share a bit about your role with the Wild Wind Folk Art and Craft Festival?
While I was not born in Pennsylvania, my first memories are from there and the Warren County region specifically. They say not much happens in a small town, but I recall my days being full of swimming at the Kinzoo Dam Beach during the summer and sledding at the Starbrook Elementary School hill during the winter. There were always community events to look forward to, the Warren County Fair, the 4th of July parade, church picnics, and so forth. Wild Wind became a part of this cycle as events when I was 10 and was hands down what I look forward to most and still do. As my mom, Carol Jilk, is one of the founding directors, my roles with the event have evolved through the years. In high school, I sold Wild Wind sweatshirts and T-shirts. I actually still have one from each of those years, all unique with a folk art design on the front. During my college years, I'd travel home to help out where needed, the front gate, stamping hands, booth sitting, and such. This continued, and in 2018, I took over the advertising for the business. Now I'm in my second year as the director, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the opportunity to continue the tradition of celebrating handmade artistry, while offering our artists a platform to share their work and the stories behind it with others.
So let's go back to the very beginning. And I do want to say I love how connected you are to this festival. So I'd love to talk to you about its history. Can you tell us the story of that dinner conversation that was in 1979 that sparked the idea for Wild Wind? What was the original vision?
My parents, Steve and Carol Jilk, had a wonderful network of friends, and they all enjoyed much time together. They often rotated houses for dinner gatherings. And it was during this time, over a bunch of good food and drink, and along with a lot of laughter, that the idea of the festival was hatched. Many of the group had artist leanings. For example, my mom and another friend, Liz Allen, who would eventually become her longtime business partner, both painted. They were excited about their crafts and wanted to share this excitement with the hope that others would find inspiration to explore their creative sides. Additionally, the group was interested in coupling their artistic passions with cultivating a side stream of income. So why not have a festival? They culled their resources, tapped into their network of artists, inviting them to participate, put out some flyers, and then had a celebration. The first event was held at Annette and Stosh Sivak's sheep farm at the top of Brown Hill in Youngsville, just about a half hour outside of Warren. I can actually still remember that first gathering. My mom was an exhibitor and had many of her paintings set up for display and sale. She used old antique boards, wooden yardsticks, and boxes to hold her work, mostly of animals, sometimes seasonal pieces. There was one I still remember distinctly. It was a raccoon in the middle of a holiday wreath. It was very sweet, and I'm sure she still has it tucked away somewhere. I remember some of the other artists, a quilter, a weaver, some of the painters, and so on. I remember watching the cars bump along through the field to park, and I remember the wind. It was definitely wild. You didn't want to wear a hat, for sure. And thus, that was the inspiration for the name of the event. Wild Wind went on as a once-a-year festival for some time up on Brown Hill, with its vendor and visitor numbers growing each year. It was exciting to see the community embrace the event, for sure. Somewhere in my archive, I have an article from the Warren Times Observer from these early years of the festival, highlighting the foundation of the event in handcrafted art and homegrown creativity. I was proud, even at my young age, to be a part of it all.
And since then, this festival is on its 45th year. Throughout 45 years, how has the Wild Wind Folk Art and Craft Festival evolved? For those who've never been, how would you describe the experience today?
Well, that's so much to say. To continue its history, Wild Wind eventually outgrew that sheep field, and another venue was needed. Out of this need, a wonderful relationship with the Warren County Fairgrounds and its board was forged. Without missing a beat, with their friends' blessings, two of the original group, my mom, Carol, and her business partner, Liz, took the show from the field to the fairgrounds, inviting more artisans, expanding their entertainment and family activities, and laying the groundwork for evolution based on artisan expression and visitor interest. This open mindset, I feel, has really worked as they're still here today. Those early years at the fairgrounds, the exhibitors dressed in period wear. The men had, peasant shirts, and the women had the long skirts and dresses. This look definitely enhanced the handmade, homegrown feel of the festival. The artistic leaning was on folk art, blacksmithing, quilting, and so on. I recall one vendor who carved wooden spoons. He was amazing, and he always had a crowd of spectators. To speak to the longevity of handcrafted ware, I still have 3 of those spoons I purchased some 25, 30 years ago, and I use them every single day. Over the time, tastes and talents shifted, and the directors no longer asked the vendors to wear period garb. The focus on handcrafted art remained the same, however. And with its outstanding reputation that had been cultivated through the years, the festival was able to attract a wide array of talents, thus offering a little bit of something for everyone. Yeah, and so nowadays, the feel of the festival is much the same as it was 40 years ago, but on a larger scale. For those who have never been, you can expect to feel the anticipation and excitement for the event while entering the entrance gate. You will be greeted by a variety of artistry, from whimsical, some fine art, some traditional. As mentioned, much of the work is put into ensuring there is something for every taste and interest. You also have the option to take in a glass blowing or chainsaw demonstration, perhaps spend time at the petting zoo with the goats. Your children can have fun with the balloon artist or a face painter. We also have a magician who delights the crowd with his sleight of hand and humor. He's amazing. And he's also going to be offering lessons this year. I think he saw a need that people really want to learn the trick. So that's something that's exciting. There's live music and a wonderful assortment of food. You can take a horse-drawn carriage ride through the pristinely maintained fairgrounds, or listen to the Tamarack Wildlife Center lecture about their live birds of prey exhibit. With any of these offerings, you really can't go wrong. It's been our greatest aspiration that all visitors enjoy the show and can take some piece of it home with them to return the next season for another visit.
And you said earlier that the festival's founder, who is your mom, Carol, began as an exhibitor herself. How was her perspective as an artist shape the way that the Wild Wind is organized and curated?
Well, my mom was an amazing artist. I always enjoyed watching her paint at our dining room table, an old antique piece that has been in our family forever. In fact, I'm sitting at it right now. She would sit there with a contemplative look on her face as she dipped her paintbrushes into the palette of colors. I actually did ask her how her own perspective as an artist helped shape Wild Wind. And she said, as with her painting, she worked to ensure Wild Wind's presentation was vibrant and welcoming while also being relatable. She and her partner, Liz Allen, often went to other shows to gain insight and inspiration. From there, they were able to build their own brand that reflected the image they wanted to portray, which is an artistic celebration built around fostering community as well as connection.
Oh, I love that. Artistic celebration that's focused around community and celebration. That is a wonderful, wonderful way of describing your festival. And I think it really resonates, too, with the amount of care and pride and work that you put into this yearly event. And speaking of yearly, you have hit your 45th year, which is an incredible milestone. What do you think has kept this festival thriving for nearly half a century?
Well, this is a wonderful question, and there are so many things. As mentioned before, maintaining foundation on handmade art while remaining flexible in the face of shifting tastes has been really key. For example, chainsaw carving is hugely popular right now, not so much 45 years ago. Similarly, following our time at home during COVID, when people were looking for things to keep their minds and hands busy, there was a renewed interest in hand-sewn items and homemade bath and beauty products. Painting, felting, pottery, quilting, and such have remained consistently cherished, but new art forms are being recognized and embraced. We have one vendor who does metal yard art. He is so popular. People beeline it right to his booth, take their findings back to the car, and then they head back in for a more leisurely stroll through the fairgrounds. It's just fun to watch. This year, one of our jewelers is doing permanent jewelry, which I had no idea was a thing until she educated me about it. But it's non-class pieces that are meant to be worn long term, whether to symbolize a lasting bond, celebrate a special occasion, or just be a piece of hassle-free accessory. And she uses all her original jewelry pieces to do this. In the end, it's about allowing for change while maintaining our original commitment to sharing the tradition of handcrafted art. Next, our longevity has much to do with the relationships we build with our vendors, as well as the general public. We work hard to honor them as individuals. We listen to their unique stories, where their artistic passions originate, the struggles they may be moving through. Because of this, we have a high vendor return rate. Rain or shine, they really want to be there. I hear this all the time. They have cultivated a relationship with those that attend through feeling supported and celebrated. One of the highlights of my work is making connections with our artists. In an era of email, I often opt to pick up the phone and call them. And it is during these conversations that I learn more about them beyond what they create and where they are from. I find out that a family member is sick or a son just graduated from college with honors. And this is wonderful. Through their personal highs and lows, we do our best to ensure that our event weekend is one that they look forward to. It is one where they feel supported and connected as part of our community.
And from the very start, this has been a family and friend-driven effort. I'd love to talk about your community. How has that sense of community helped sustain the festival through the changing times?
I think this is why we still do what we do, because we're all in it together. So yes, Wild Wind began with friends and family and still maintains that same model. I believe this is yet another reason why we're able to do what we are doing for as long as we have, knowing that we have a community of people to rely on, even in the craziest of moments or through the biggest of hurdles, provides a sense of confidence and has fostered resilience. This is also why I cherish this event so much. Much of my family travels back to Pennsylvania to help. My sister Angela makes pies, 40 plus of them, and she prepares them in her kitchen from ingredients from her garden. She then transports them all the way from Vermont. It's a huge effort for her, but she has done it for the past 3 or 4 years now, and it's been wonderful. My brother-in-law and a family friend joined my husband to be behind the scenes, helping vendors set up, moving hay bales, emptying trash, and such. Both my parents are a big part of the event still. My mom welcoming artists and my dad laying out the vendor spaces and working the front gate. For many years, my cousin Dan brought his band all the way from Cincinnati to play amazing music for the crowd. And throughout the years, extended family and friends have all been on hand to help out and join the effort. So really, Wild Wind is completely propelled by sheer family force. In between all the work, we always manage to have a bunch of fun and many laughs. It really, truly is a special weekend for us all.
I'm sure, and it really sounds wonderful. And so the first Wild Wind took place during America's Bicentennial, a time of renewed appreciation for traditional American craftsmanship. How did that cultural moment influence the identity of the festival in the early years?
America's Bicentennial saw an interest and participation in more traditional craftsmanship, blacksmithing, quilting, felting, pottery, woodworking, etc. As do-it-yourself crafts began to be recognized by art museums and institutions, Wild Wind's founders saw this moment, along with their own personal interests, as an incentive to make homemade artistry and its heritage the foundation of the festival. Additionally, these crafts were often created in the home where things are family-based and skills and or knowledge were often passed down from one generation to the next. Thus, Wild Wind's identity is also very closely intertwined with a strong focus on community and family. We continue to this day to be proud to honor its tradition of honoring handcrafted art while fostering community connections.
And we are approaching the semi-quincentennial. Do you see echoes of that same spirit today in conversations around tradition, heritage, and handmade, homemade art?
During the Bicentennial, we didn't have computers. The internet was not a thing. When I went to college, I was still typing on my typewriter. So now, while the internet and all things digital take us on a roller coaster ride of doing things faster while doing more, there is a current of resistance to this fast-paced pressure, I feel. With that, I definitely hear echoes of wanting to return to simpler times. I see that people find connection and perhaps a moment of peace in a piece of art that took a singular focus to create. For example, take a piece of pottery. Much time and focus is put into crafting one item with a reward at the end of having, say, a beautiful mug to sip your coffee from. There is much pride in creating such a piece and much recognition of the singular effort it took to make it. With that, the spirit of homemade art, I feel, is alive and thriving, both for the artist who takes the piece of clay or wood or wool and creates something by hand, and for the buyer who appreciates the process. I also see this revere for traditional crafts being shared with the younger generation. I see families spreading their knowledge and youth absorbing it and putting it into action. As an example, we have a vendor who for years now brings a bus designed to be a store with their work displayed in it. It's really kind of cool. Last year, their teenage daughter called me on the phone. She didn't send a text. She called me and asked if she could set up a table to sell her own work. And I said, sure. And she did so well that this year she wanted to have her own space, and she paid for her own space, taking what she had learned from her parents and continuing that tradition of honoring the spirit of handcrafted items. It's just a wonderful thing.
I love that younger generations are getting involved. That is really inspiring, and we talk about folk art and how it's passed down through generations. So that's really wonderful. And so doing some research into your festival, I did read that vendors are chosen based on originality, craftsmanship, and design. What does your selection process look like, and how do you maintain such a high standard of quality?
Well, after returning vendors have been determined for the new season, we turn to new applicants whose work is put through a jurying process. Not only do we look for originality and quality of design, but we also strive to ensure that there is not too much of any one item. This is very important. Taking this into account provides our artists with every opportunity to have a profitable weekend. We want our vendors to have an enjoyable time, but we also want them to be able to sell their pieces. And if there's too much of any one item, say too many jewelers or too many potters, then they're not going to do as well. So this is very important. Historically, we are able to attract artists with high quality work. Much of this, I feel, comes from word of mouth. Whether through online forums or artists chatting with each other at their various events, many of our new vendors are referred to us by our current ones. This, again, is a testament to the strong community we have cultivated through the years at Wildwind and our dedication to creating strong ties with our artists.
What makes folk art and handmade American crafts such powerful expressions of our nation's story? How do the works showcased at Wildwind help carry those stories forward?
Handmade art is the fingerprint of our American experience. Each piece, whether a folk art painting or a functional piece of pottery, represents a time and a place in our collective history. The works highlighted at Wildwind all have a story, the tale of the idea behind their creation, how they were made, the struggles and joys the artists moved through on the journey to completion, the people who acquired them, how they were used, how they moved through time and are passed down, and so on. As an example, I have a painting hanging in my home by one of our longtime wildlife artists, Chandler Beatty. He's absolutely amazing. With an eye for detail and realism, Chandler creates these unforgettable pieces. This particular work hanging on my wall is of 3 turkeys standing in a field under trees in their autumn bloom. This piece speaks to me not only because of its phenomenal quality, but also because it reminds me of my own 3, all grown now and out in the world. I have shared this with each of my kids, why this painting is so special to me. And someday I hope it will hang in one of their homes. And I guess that they too will share this story, carrying it forward.
That is quite touching. I love that this art spoke to you and reminded you of your own experience. And so as somebody who has been there, has been at this festival since its early beginnings, I'd love to hear if you have a personal favorite memory from the festival, whether it's touching, humorous, or just unforgettable, that really captures what Wildwind is all about.
There are so many great memories that capture the spirit of Wildwind, but I'll just share a couple. Well, not really a memory, but rather an annual event. On opening day, I love to walk down to the visitors gate. Behind me, the gate hasn't opened yet. So behind me, I feel the excitement from the vendors as they prepare for the gates to open. It's a good kind of nervous energy as they fuss over their booths and chat amongst themselves about the ensuing weekend. In front of me are 2 long lines on either side of the gate, both stretching the full length of the fence that stems from it. From here, I can feel the crowd's anticipation. The first in line have been there for some time, vying to be the first to enter. Those further back in line are thankful because they know the line will move quickly once things get going. At that moment, I am always grateful for everyone's hard work, for the artists who create, to the Wildwind staff who keep things moving, to the Warren County Fire Police who man the parking, to the magicians and their music filling the air. It's really a special moment. My next memory is about root beer. and yes, root beer, which you're probably like, why? But for many years, my much younger sisters and their friends sold the drink up in the picnic area. With not much competition at that time, they were a huge hit, particularly on hot, humid weekends. My mom painted a large wooden board with an American flag and old-fashioned root beer printed on it. Mm-hmm. Every year, that sign was dug out of storage and placed at my sister's booth. This torch was eventually passed to my eldest, Owen. He was so proud to do his job, keeping diligent notes of the number of cases purchased each year and the income he earned. He, too, had my mom's sign hanging next to his tub of ice-cold root beer. From there, my daughter Avery had her go, and then finally my youngest, Eli. Last year, Eli hung the wooden sign for the last time, and I'm going to get a little weepy. As he gifted the root beer booth to my nephew, Blaze. Just last weekend, I asked Blaze if he needed any help preparing for Wildwind, because this was going to be his first year doing the root beer booth by himself. And he said no. But then as he walked away, he turned around and said, just don't forget to bring that root beer sign. And so the tradition continues.
Oh, how lovely. That is something. And I mean, a wonderful story to hear how your family is so involved and how much they love it, and how, your kids, their grandma's the one who started this, and they still honor her by carrying that root beer sign. And
it hangs in my mudroom throughout the year. And one year I forgot it, and it was like, it was the end of the world.
It seems like, root beer, as you said, it seems like something that's so small, but just the fact that it's one of your favorite memories and how much it means to your family, I really think shows too just the spirit of this festival and how much it means to the community and to everybody involved. So that was quite wonderful to hear. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we're winding down, and, we do keep talking about this theme of community. So I'd like to hit on that a little bit more. How has the Warren County community, and as you said, the Warren County Fairgrounds, played a role in helping the festival grow and succeed over these 45 years?
Well, I'm so fortunate to have grown up in such an amazing community. As an testament to its impact, the community I now live in Vermont mirrors that of Warren County. People are kind, they're helpful, and they're invested in being a part of something greater than themselves. As an example, I currently live, as I said, in Vermont, and I travel home each September for the event. Our printer, Tina from House of Printing in Warren, gladly steps in to fill our shoes and help out when we're not able to. Last year, she and her husband delivered all the flyers to the area businesses. So that's driving all over the place. This is not an easy task and one that is extremely time consuming, but she did it for us with grace and a smile, and it was so, so helpful. Various community groups, too, have made a huge difference in the growth and success of Wildwind since its inception. Paws Along the River, Warren's Humane Society, it is always in attendance each year, bringing a few of their furry friends to share their mission. They are such a huge hit. The local Boy Scout troop sells hot dogs and sodas. And we are always proud to host the Department of Veterans Affairs Mobile Vet Center, which provides readjustment counseling and information resources to veteran service members and their families. The Rouse, a senior living center, has a booth to share information. This year, they plan to bring a bus of their residents to enjoy an afternoon with us. I'm so excited for that. And the list goes on and on. I could go on forever. So it's clear to see that the Warren County community is a major propeller for the event. As far as the Warren County Fairgrounds, we cannot say enough about how grateful we are for the relationship we have built with them over the years. The Fair Board is supportive, flexible, and accommodating, and their grounds crews, we couldn't do it without them. They work tirelessly to prepare the barns and the grounds for the event, mowing the grass, laying sawdust, doing electrical work. They're there 24/7, it seems like. This bond and the mutual respect we have for each other has been instrumental in the continued success of the event.
finally, your passion is so evident through this conversation, and I have a feeling that many of our listeners might be interested in attending your Wild Wind Folk Art and Craft Festival for the first time or even again. What can they expect when they walk through those gates, and what makes it worth the trip?
Well, as mentioned, there are just so many things, but to be concise, I'm going to pull from a recent article just to help paint a picture of what a new festival goer at our event will encounter when joining us. There's always excitement in the air, the sounds of kettle corn popping and artists greeting new and longtime customers, the sights of vibrant colored mums and crisp fall apples, and the smells of homemade pie and apple strudel. Children tug on their parents' hands, steering them to the petting zoo, and families marvel at a magician's tricks. Friends enjoy a good conversation and a tasty meal where they tap their feet to live music. And amongst all this festivity, true artistic talent and creativity abound. The celebration of handcrafted artistry is the foundation of this event. And keeping tradition with its long-standing dedication, the festival is proud to bring together an array of artistic talents to present a show that is unsurpassed. It is definitely worth a trip. And I'll close by saying at the end of the day, it's really all about the people in our community. Without them, Wild Wind would not be possible. For that, the stories they create through their art and the memories that they make through their time as a Wild Wind guest, we are just so thankful.
Melissa, what wonderful work you do. This sounds like something that's just a gem of Pennsylvania. And so to everybody who is listening, I highly encourage you go and you experience this Wild Wind Festival and see firsthand the life that is throughout it. And Melissa, I would just like to say thank you so much for being here today and for sharing and talking with us and, getting personal and telling us about that root beer sign that I'm now sure people are going to look out for. Thank you.
No, thank you, Sydney, for having me. This has been a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.
Derived from the energy of America's Bicentennial in 1976, the Wild Wind Folk Art and Craft Festival continues to celebrate the enduring spirit of American folk handmade art. We are so grateful to Melissa J. White for sharing her knowledge, her story, and her deep passion for this work with us. At its core, folk art is a way to connect with the people who came before us, with the communities we belong to, and with the traditions that still shape our lives today. It's a mirror into the past and a gift to future generations, because, most of all, it is meant to be shared. The Wild Wind Folk Art and Craft Festival brings that purpose to life. One handcrafted piece, one craft, one story at a time. To learn more about the festival or to plan your visit, head over to wildwindfestival.com. And remember, whether it's a quilt, a carving, a woven tapestry, it is a beautiful thing to have local artists share their craft with you. Always remember to support local and, of course, to stay PA proud.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cassandra Coleman, Executive Director of America 250 PA. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. We encourage you to learn more about America 250 PA and send us your podcast ideas at america250pa.org.
This has been the America 250 PA Start Here, America Did podcast, produced by Commonwealth Media Services. Stay tuned for more epic Pennsylvania stories at america250pa.org.